Welcome back, everyone, to the Barely News Crew. Your host here is always Alexis, and today I am solo presenting to you BNC Round-Up and give to you my personal insight on these big stories happening this particular week. So we're going to start off with Justice League. Now, obviously, Justice League is being filmed as we speak. And what they've done recently is somewhat unprecedented. They have actually invited some insiders to watch them film some scenes. And they actually allowed them to release as much as they possibly wanted to online. And some of the things that we've been hearing as well, it certainly seems there's more color, difference in tone, there's more humor. Some people have gone so far as to say that this is their own version of the Avengers. And all I can say is, well, this sounds promising. And I know what you're saying. Wow, is Alexis actually talking something positive about DC? You're right, I am. I think this actually sounds promising, and it is a positive turning of the page. Of course, we didn't get any details as far as the script is concerned in the story, but from what we have been hearing, there is nothing that sounds at the least bit discouraging. It sounds to me that they have really listened to what the community has said about their films and how dark they have been in tone and how joyless and humorless they have been. Of course, that's my opinion, and I feel that many of you share that opinion, but it certainly does sound that in this context, they are not only willing to listen to the criticisms, but they're actually taking them to heart. On the other side, well, isn't DC just pretty much throwing in the towel and, okay, we'll just copy Marvel's formula and see how that works? It's not necessarily a bad thing to do. There will be differences, and there will be things that will definitely look as if this is DC and this is Marvel. DC definitely needs to create their own niche. They have to find a feel for their movies that's not so distinctly Marvel, because Marvel has already created that for their own films and their own franchise. I feel that DC, from what we've been hearing of these reports, is pulling from that and trying to create something new, and that's exactly what they should do. I'll be honest with you, this actually does get me a little bit interested in Justice League. After Batman v Superman, I wanted nothing to do whatsoever with any DC movie because of just how horrible it was. However, this gives me a lot of hope in this film, and I may actually be looking forward to it. They found a way to change the conversation, and it seems that they're going to be going into a big Comic-Con this year. Up next, we have a lot of Star Wars news, in particular with Rogue One. They've announced that Darth Vader, voiced by James Earl Jones, will definitely be in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which most of us already knew who follow this news very closely. And they've also announced a slew of new characters to pretty much give us all of the main characters' new names, as well as their stories and what they do. In particular, was a character from Star Wars The Clone Wars. For those who are not aware, Star Wars The Clone Wars was a 3D animated series that aired on Cartoon Network between 2008 and 2013. It's one of my personal favorite TV shows of all time. And it did win a couple of Emmys. Just making sure about that, okay? So there was this character named by Saw Gerrera. He was an insurgent rebellion who was trained by Anakin Skywalker during the end of the Clone Wars. And it turns out that his character is going to be in Rogue One. And that is so fitting. And of course, Forrest Whitaker will portray him in that film. It's something that's truly incredible and something that we haven't really been seen done. We know that in the Marvel movies there are the TV shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, Jessica Jones, but none of them have had their time to be in the films. It's so ironic how they're pulling a character from animation, an obscure character at that, and putting him as a main persona in this film. It just fits. It also fits in the same way that Darth Vader is in this movie. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is about getting the plans for the Death Star. When we go into Star Wars, we see that Darth Vader is in pursuit of rebels who have the Death Star plans. It is impertinent for Vader to be in this film. As soon as Vader is dropped in that trailer, oh my goodness, this, I feel, is going to be a truly amazing film. I can't wait. Next we have Spider-Man Homecoming, and they've casted pretty much everybody in the world. Every single day we're getting new people that are casted in this movie, and we've also gotten some more details about the deal between Sony and Marvel. One of the most amusing quotes that I've probably ever seen is pretty much Sony saying, for all intents and purposes, we are licensing and distributing this film. As far as the creative processes of this film, we have deferred it to Marvel. Well, duh. I think most of us already knew that. But I think it's also just remarkable how they've just pretty much said, we've tried it, but we're not the best at it, so we're gonna let these guys make our movie and we're gonna release it. Frankly, I am so relieved to hear that. I suspected that was the case. I have gone on record saying that if Kevin Feige did not get his way, then this film would have been a disaster. It seems this movie will be incredibly successful and that Sony and Marvel have a good future going forward. Next, we have Indiana Jones. Bob Iger was questioned this week about what the future for the franchise may be, and of course he did confirm, as it already has been, Indiana Jones 5 is happening, 2019, Spielberg back, Harrison Ford back, but many are asking what comes next. Are you going to do a reboot or requel? What exactly is going to happen? What is for sure going to happen is more Indiana Jones movies. That you can bet on. What has yet to be decided is how they're going to present those films and who is going to be portraying Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford, in my view, can keep doing Indy as long as he wants to, as long as he's able to. But at a certain point, something's going to have to give. I'm not entirely sure what's in those plans. It doesn't seem like Iger is entirely sure what's in those plans. All that we know is that the people who have worked on the indie films, such as George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy, have said that they have no intention of recasting Indiana Jones, which all just leads to a very confusing mess. I frankly don't know what to think of it. At the very least, we will get many more Indiana Jones movies. Whether or not Harrison Ford comes back is still a complete mystery. And finally today, we gotta talk about the box office. What a smash, or a splash, I would say, Finding Dory was. The biggest opening of an animated movie ever, $135 million. Taking the crown from the dreaded Shrek the Third and Minions, who, let's be honest here, don't deserve those titles to begin with. But I am just so glad that people went out to see this movie in droves, and it certainly does appear that that's going to be the same case this coming weekend. People just can't get enough of this. For me personally speaking, this movie is somewhat of an event. It has a certain cross-generational appeal that most films don't have. I was a child, now I'm a young adult when Finding Nemo came out. I went to go ahead and see it. There's a new generation, obviously a kids movie, they're going to go out and see it on weekdays. It's making numbers that you wouldn't expect. For sure, Finding Dory will make $1 billion worldwide. That, you can take it to the bank. I love the movie. If you want to check out my review of it, please check the link down below. Dory for sure is going to continue number one with 70 to 80 million. Independence Day, which I also did a review for that movie, is going to somewhat underperform. It's currently projected between 45 to 65 million. I think it'll actually be a little bit under 65. We have Central Intelligence at number 3, Shallows at 4, and Free State of Jones at number 5. Guys, this is a great time for movies to discuss what's happening as far as finances, quality, and studios, and companies, and actors, and casting. There's just so much going on. Thank you guys for watching this BNC Roundup of just me, myself, and I. This is a truly unique and one-of-a-kind roundup, and we'll see if we do any more of these. I appreciate you for listening to what I have to say. Please subscribe and like for more. Comment on anything you like of what I said. If you disagree with what I said, if you like what I said, comment down below. And until next time, I'm your host here as always, Alexis, and this is the BNC, the place for all things movie news and reviews.